Welcome to another Keelhauled podcast. I'm your host, Captain Logan, and we've got a lot of Sea of Thieves news to cover today, so tie yourselves to the mast and hold fast. Ahoy there, pirates. I hope you had yourselves a good week and a good weekend. I know I did. This week, we're going to be bringing on none other than Freyline from Twitch, who's going to be chatting with us all about charities with St. Jude's Child Hospital, as well as the Sea of Fashion show that we just finished up this weekend, where we raised quite a bit of money to help out with the Sea of Thieves St. Jude charity. We're going to be doing a lot of conversing about costumes versus cosmetics and being able to say like what's good, what's bad, what can be changed, what can we look forward to in the future. And we did get a patch this week, so I wanted to go into the details about that patch because it is kind of important. It talks a lot about the Reaper's Bones reputation, as well as Athena's fortune emissary grades. A lot of information that you guys should know going into the next week and in the future to understand how much reputation has fluctuated with the different changes and if it's going to impact your gold. So there's a lot to talk about, and we're going to get into it. So pirates, without further ado, I bring to you Freyline. Yeah, so I wanted to bring you on, like I mentioned, because we were doing the Sea of Fashion stuff, but last week I had Craig Kaufman on to talk about accessibility and able gamers, and that was really well.
Love Craig.
Yeah, Craig's great. Had a great time, and I'm glad that he was able to, because he had just had that surgery, and his voice was like, it was kind of, wanted to make sure that he didn't lose his voice while we were talking, and it worked out great. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay, well, who am I going to have on next? And as we were doing the Sea of Thieves, Sea of Fashion stuff, one of my buddies, Chris Johnson, reached out to me and told me, and he was like, I'm not too sold on the costume idea. And I was thinking, oh yeah, that's a fair criticism. I'm not 100% sold on it. And then I was thinking, I was like, okay, well, we're doing the Sea of Fashion stuff, and Freyline's kind of heading that up. So, I mean, what better person to have on than the host of the Sea of Fashion show for St. Jude Charity? So, to kind of start off, I wanted to get people to get to kind of know who you are. So, for you, like when did you start getting into gaming, and also how did you get involved with Sea of Thieves?
So, I started playing. Well, gaming in general. I started gaming when I was super, super young. I wasn't allowed to have a console. I was one of those. Yeah. So I played PC games like on the Sneak, and I started with like Myst and We're in Time as Carmen Sandiego and those sorts of games. And then I graduated to first-person shooters and Counter-Strike and all that stuff later on. Mm-hmm. I found Sea of Thieves probably like 3 weeks right after I had first started streaming, and that was April 2018. And I pretty much went from Overwatch straight into Sea of Thieves and never looked back.
Oh, wow.
I love this game. I love this community. It's become family.
Yeah.
And the Sea of Thieves community is truly just amazing in all aspects. Who would have ever thought that a pirate game could bring so many people together for good?
Yeah, it's I think it's the fantasy aspect of it, and because we're our own characters, I played a lot of World of Warcraft, and there's a lot of role playing involved with that, but if you look at like Overwatch, you have kind of preset characters and people can interchange in them and stuff, so it's not really ever personal. But with Sea of Thieves, it's like your pirate is kind of your pirate. So it's kind of cool when you see someone, because that's what they decided they wanted to look like in the game, and they picked it for a multitude of reasons. But
funny story.
So go ahead, because I'm curious about this story.
So you'll notice that my pirate is a male pirate.
Yeah, I was really surprised about that. So what was the reasoning behind What was the reasoning behind that?
Well, basically, there was no reasoning. It was more of a matter of not knowing that you could go on to the next wheel when we first opened the game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Very, very common.
I basically chose the best looking pirate that I could see on that wheel, and it happened to be this really beefy, like buff dude, and I just fell in love with him. And so many when they came out with the changing when you could change your character, I was just like, I don't think I could do it to him. Like he is me, you know, in a sense. And like it's so funny because I know there are a lot of other people who had this similar circumstance, and after they were given the opportunity to change, they decided no, they've become too attached, like me.
Do you think if you had the option earlier on in your pirating life that you would have taken it?
If it was like maybe the second week, maybe.
So pretty early on,
But
you got pretty attached to him.
oh yeah, like I mean, it just became this amazing like kind of part of my play as and also my content, because I think the funniest part is like everybody's always like, oh, there's guys boarding right now, and then there's me. It's like the ultimate reverse trap. I think it's funny.
And so it's funny you bring that up because a lot of times in other games there's a stigma or a reaction when somebody finds out that they're playing against a girl, and sometimes the most satisfying part is when you actually get to beat someone, you get to sing someone, and then they find out that you're a girl, and then they really have to kind of cope with their inner masculinity and their inability to comprehend that. So it's kind of funny that they think, oh well, it's all right because I was beaten by another guy, and then come to find out it's not a guy, and then they have to sit there and wrestle with it. And if you're listening and you're that person, get over it. Just get over it. But otherwise, it's fun to kind of have that satisfaction. I can imagine is probably entertaining. So,
oh, definitely. I mean, I've been a female gamer for 15 plus years.
Yeah. So you've been around.
Yeah, I've heard it all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's awesome about Sea of Thieves, especially, and this community is it's like exactly what the pirate code says. There's of course there's those bad seeds, but for the most part, the majority of the Sea of Thieves community, I think, really do live up to the values. At least that's what my experience has been, and yeah, it's just awesome.
Yeah, it's true. All crews are equal. Treat every pirate the same. You know, it's all about just the glory of it. You know, everyone's welcome, and that's kind of why I've been wanting to bring on. Since I started taking on guests, I've been trying hard to make sure that I have a relatively equal balance between male and female guests, because it's important that everyone in the community gets represented, whether you're heterosexual or homosexual, whether you're bi or bi-curious, or
or trans.
Yeah, trans, anyone, abled, disabled, male, female, it doesn't matter to me. I would
everyone can game.
Yeah. So
it's like you were saying,
everyone has an opportunity to enjoy themselves, and the more people that get to do that, especially with Sea of Thieves, I think the better we are for it. And so you've been playing Sea of Thieves for a bit, and you said you started streaming, and one of the things that I've noticed with you is you were very, very passionate about charity streaming. And there's a few people like Shockwave who are 100% charity streamers. With your charity, St. Jude, what pushed you to that charity versus like animal protection or animal care or rainforest deforestation? Yeah. Like, what decided to kind of go towards St. Jude over other ones?
Well, we do raise money for a lot of charities. I'll start with that. Since October, Hearts of Gold Fleet has raised over $28,000, $29,000 for various charities. So each quarter we or at first it was monthly, which is a lot. Yeah. But each quarter we've done an event for a charity that, and I am the one who usually chooses the charity. I choose it based on what's close to my heart, and I do a lot of research, and I make sure that the charity that I'm picking is like a reputable charity. There is actually websites that rate charity based on their transparency and everything.
Yeah.
St. Jude is an amazing, amazing charity and hospital, and what they do there is just it's incredibly important work, and no one else is doing it. There's nowhere in the world where people are not charged anything, and they can bring their sick child and they'll get treated for free, and the family will be housed. And they're also incredibly transparent about where all funds go.
Yeah.
It's just, and the thing that gets me the most about St. Jude is it's an American-based hospital, but they share their knowledge and the research that they do for cancer with hospitals all over the world. So not only are the donations going towards saving kids' lives, but they're going towards saving lives all over the world. And to me, that's what's most important is bringing everybody together for this very, very important reason. And in my own life, I've lost both parents and my adoptive parent, various reasons. My grandmother was my adoptive parent, and she passed away from cancer. I've seen firsthand what cancer can do. We all have somebody, and it takes a group of people to come up and say, okay, let's do something about this. Let's get something together. Let's give real change. And Twitch really gave me that platform to do it. And it's like I'm getting emotional. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. And kind of like I found my calling. And the fact that so many people are inspired and able to raise money for charity, and maybe they never considered it before from the events that we're running. It's just inspiring, and it's just humbling, and it's amazing. Sorry if that was a winded answer.
No, that's why I wanted you on. I wanted to have people get an idea of why it's so important, which a lot of people, especially myself, when given the opportunity, I try to donate what I can. I'm not always able to give as much as I would love to because of where my income level is, and trying to make sure that I take care of my family as well. But
absolutely. See, I always tell people, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I always tell people, like, you do not have to donate to make a difference for charity. You do not have to be a huge broadcaster. You do not have to have all this crazy, amazing clout or whatever. Literally starting the conversation, talking to people, using your platform for good to share it with people and share it with the world, and these important causes that people may not be aware about. And regardless of whether you raise $1, $0, or $10,000, every little bit counts. And it takes people people realizing that it doesn't matter, oh, I can't do this, or I'll never be able to raise a lot. Like, go for it. You can do it. It takes people realizing that they can make a difference in the world to take that step, and you don't have to have money to do that. And it's just amazing.
It's true. It's 100% true. And just like today, going into the Sea of Fashion that we did, and having the fashion show. The fashion show was a way to draw people in. The goal of it is we wanted to do a charity raising event in Sea of Thieves and kind of cater it around the idea of pirates coming up with different costumes around themes that judges were going to judge based off of that. And it was absolutely amazing for us to have this happen. The goal was $1,000 for the few hours that we were going to be going through it. We blew well past that. We got over $1,500, if I recall, for that.
The entire team raised over $6,400.
Wow.
We did start the campaign before today, but I don't have the exact numbers, but the whole campaign right now, I'm looking it up. The team's at $6,546 for St. Jude.
That's amazing. That's amazing support from the community.
Whole bunch of people coming together. It doesn't matter whether it was $1, $5, or like I said, 6,000. Everybody coming together is what makes that difference. It makes it possible.
Yeah. And I was really happy to see my community come out and donate what they could. I'm not a big streamer. I mostly do this podcast as my way of kind of spreading the word about Sea of Thieves, because that's where I feel the most comfortable. But even with the small amount of streaming that I did, just the show out that I had, or the show up, I can't even think of what that is. The people that showed up for the stream and donated, so awesome. And thanks to you, and thanks to Rare for getting us codes for the Obsidian 6-pack. John surprising, I think, everyone with
that was incredible.
Yeah, every participant of the Sea of Fashions event got a game code for Sea of Thieves, and to give to our communities. Yeah. So it's awesome. I've already got one of my community members who wanted to get his brother into playing Sea of Thieves because he wanted him to have something to do so they could actually play together. He's been trying to get him in, and this is going to get him into the game. And now I get to know that there's a pair of brothers that are in the community that get to join each other during this time where you don't always get to go visit people until things get a little bit safer for everyone. So that's
a huge reason why Sea of Thieves is amazing, because it allowed us to run a charity event with like 15 plus people together. That a lot of other games don't even offer that, let alone like that no one can meet in public right now. So that's what's like truly awesome about this game, is the fact that you could bring all these people together for a common goal, and like you can truly play the game however you want. And we chose to do a charity fashion show with it.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then that kind of with shout out to Charities for winning. She did an awesome job. Shout out to the Dread Pirate Doug to help out get the server, and to John for joining for judging and just being a true gem. He is such a beautiful, beautiful gem in this world. And to you to run it, to have everyone, and to kind of give us this driving force. When you reached out, I was like, heck yeah, this sounds awesome. It's like one of my favorite things. Cambones from Sea of Fashion is someone that I've talked to in the past about wanting to have like specific costumes and stuff, and seeing what people come up with for different events and stuff. So one of the reasons why this ties in so well with things that I wanted to talk about on the podcast is because with the Ships of Fortune update, we got a real kind of taste of some of the stuff that we're probably going to see in the future of the game, which is in reference to costumes. And costumes, a lot of people like the Reaper's costumes. A lot of people like the Merchants or the Order of Souls. Everyone kind of has their own one that they tend to lean on. But there's been a lot of folks that are either happy with it or they're kind of mixed on it. And I put a poll out there, and I'm blanking on how many people actually voted. I'm going to see if I can pull that up real quick. But the majority not even the majority, actually, just under the majority of people said that 48% said that they were happy with it. 14% said that they didn't like the costumes feature, and 37.3% said that they were kind of okay with it, and that was about 300 votes. So not a biggest pool, but enough of an idea that people generally kind of like it. And most of the comments that I got from this were that people were happy with it, that it added things that didn't come to the game through other means, but for the most part, they'd prefer to mix and match. And what I wanted to kind of bring you on and talk about, if you don't mind speaking to it, is how do you feel after just doing a Sea of Fashion show about cosmetics moving forward as a full, complete outfit that you can't alter.
That's a good one. Honestly, I've worn it once, and I funny thing is I've heard rumors about the outfits, like if you wear it, you get extra XP or whatnot, something like that. So there's also like kind of a bunch of like myths or things that are coming about regarding the costumes. To me, it kind of was reminiscent of like the Tall Tale when you had to do the Morning Star.
Yep.
Like the pre-dawn outfit, which I do think is pretty cool to have that goes together. But I do agree that having it as a single costume, I thought that there was a purpose to wearing all of it. Most of us come from backgrounds of like MMORPGs and whatnot, where obviously cosmetics or gear had an actual like number value of increasing your game. Sea of Thieves, cosmetics are purely that cosmetic, but they do add such a beautiful taste to the game.
Yeah.
I think maybe having the outfits as combined for like a goal on a certain voyage or whatnot would kind of be cool. Like having it be a purpose for the outfit. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And you brought up a really good example of what I think a lot of people liked about the Tall Tales, because I remember playing through that, and when you donned the Morning Star garb, you realistically only had to put on one piece, and you got those contextual chat options with the different NPCs over at Sanctuary. I think it was Sanctuary Outpost. Yeah, Sanctuary Outpost, to kind of talk about some of the crew of the Morning Star. But if you just wanted to wear the hat, you could just wear the hat. You could just wear the pants if you wanted to, and you could still kind of retain some of your pirate's character, even though you were still kind of quote unquote donning a disguise to kind of complete that tale. And I feel like a lot of folks that are happy with the cosmetics for what they bring, as far as like earrings, glasses, pouches, rings, bracelets, things like that. They like that that's coming to the game, but without there being a clear defined reason for actually wearing them beyond just the commendation. Because I remember there was some talk around what was going on with the insiders, that there was a possibility they were going to be doing something around like bonuses if you had everything on and you were really kind of like merchant alliancing it up. And it doesn't seem like there's any kind of bonus or purpose to the costumes outside of just being cosmetics, and it kind of really representing the role play aspect of being a part of that trade company. And from what it seems like a lot of people are kind of in that boat where they like the costumes, they think they look great, but they aren't too happy with not being able to retain things like their hooks and their peg legs. So I wanted to kind of read through some of the replies that I got to this post, because it was actually pretty charged as far as most of the polls that I put out there. So Thor Von Blitz said, not really. Personally, I'd much rather have, or would have loved to see the current costumes, but split into individual parts, and the quote unquote costume tab be a way to save and easily access your own outfit combinations like GTO or GTA Online or Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing actually does a great job of having that wand where you can individually pick what pieces you want and then save it as an outfit or a loadout. Cat True Walker says, I enjoy them. Also, the fact that your normal pirate outfit is underneath, so it's a quick change to remove them. Early stages yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing what others they bring. Would love to see the individual items available in the normal clothing inventory. Captain Deadeye's Dre says, it's a fine concept, has a lot of scope that hasn't been fully explored yet. It's being held back by forcing certain elements such as peg legs, hooks, eye patches. I only sort of like 2 of the current costumes. And then, of course, Drunken Bear says, I like them. Mix and match would be cool. And optional hooks and peg legs. Also, what happened to the Bilge Rat costume? Wouldn't mind one of those. So with you kind of heading up the Sea of Fashion, if all of our cosmetics in the game were set up like costumes instead of the piecemeal a la carte kind of style cosmetics, do you feel like a fashion show in the future would be as feasible if they started to move away from individual pieces?
Oh, definitely not. It's the individual pieces that make it, you know, personal, like you said in the beginning. It's, I think a lot of pirates use the cosmetics in the game to kind of create an identity. They even make stories behind it, um, V. She's like, oh yeah, I lost my eye in a fishing accident.
Hmm.
We even create stories behind why it's that way. I understand what they're saying when they are saying like it's a forced peg leg or hook, like, but they're chopping off your hand. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I think definitely the strongest part of the game would be the individuality and the kind of allowance for just free reign with cosmetic pieces. So I definitely think it would affect it
Would you be
strongly.
would you be okay if they kept costumes in the game for future updates, but tried to tie it in more with the actual lore of the game? So similar to the Tall
Yes.
Tale, like they would do something kind of like that as opposed to
100%. I feel like there should be a purpose to using the outfit. It couldn't be really a monetary gain because I understand where they're coming from that cosmetics really aren't going to give anybody a edge over anybody else. And that is something that the devs have stood by since day one of the game.
yeah.
And I love them for that. And that's what makes this game wonderful, that you can pick it up at any point, and not other people won't have an advantage in gear over
Hmm.
you. That's a key integral part of the game. So tying in the costumes into something of the missions or the voyages or the actual Tall Tale stories, that would be great because it would kind of give them context
Yeah.
and more of a purpose, and then also have a reason for people to wear them without giving anybody an actual like stat bonus or bonus to money.
Yeah. How do you feel about so right now we tend to get a lot of cosmetics through weekly streams or giveaways, Twitch loot, mix pots, things like that. And a lot of the time those are either ship liveries or equipment cosmetics, weapon loadouts. Very few of them have been actual clothing cosmetics. And in fact, I think the Obsidian set is the one that really kind of stands out in my mind. Do you think that costumes would be a good way to supplant codes since it's one outfit, it's one item?
I have 3 words.
Okay.
Black dog dress.
I don't understand. There isn't a black dog dress.
I've been asking for one for years. My pirate funny story does not wear pants. I have never worn pants except once, and that was because someone made me put the tuck outfit on. But I refuse to wear pants. So my whole thing is that my pirate wears dresses. Like even when I had Pirate Legend, I wore the Pirate Legend dress.
Mm.
I would die for a black dog dress because we have the pants set. Well, I don't, but I would like the opportunity to get a dress.
There's a lot of I feel like there's still a lot of work that can be done moving forward to really offer a wider breadth of costumes for females. And I'm glad that you bring that up because that's something that personally I hadn't thought about, but you're 100% right. We have pretty much all of the Obsidian set except for a dress equivalent and even multiple dress equivalents. If that, there's
I think that it's a great opportunity for, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're good.
It's a great opportunity for Rare, I think, especially after Sea of Fashion. I know we're wanting to do something like this again. I know a lot of people would be super interested in it. I think cosmetics, because they don't give an actual like benefit over other things in the game, get overlooked. And that's why, when the Grogs approached me with the event, because it was their idea. They ran an event like this, similar to this, and it really just displays like kind of that you can do more with the game. And I think that would be great if more cosmetics came about through code giveaways, outfits, not like equipment. I think that would be amazing, and I definitely want my black dog dress. If you're listening,
do it.
I love you.
Do it. Do it, you cowards. No, I love you guys. So yeah, there's a lot that goes in with this update that I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to dive into some of that. And something that was kind of surprising to me, beyond just the fact that John was able to give us a game code today for our communities, Rare has actually done something similar. They've gone out and they've actually, so if people aren't familiar, in the UK they have the National Healthcare System, which is tax funded. It's their Medicare for all kind of system, and regardless of how you feel about it, the fact is that people have an opportunity to get the health care that they need on the government's tab because of taxes. And right now, because of coconut fever really impacting a lot of hospitals, a lot of places are seeing the strain of people getting sick, and us trying to help out with that. Rare has gone out and decided to gift anyone that has an email that can prove that they're part of the NHS system in the UK. They have the option of either getting Sea of Thieves or Rare Replay. And I actually really love this. I love the idea that it's
amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. To think that anyone that wants to or knows someone that is working right now, they're going to want to have some off time when this is all said and done, and we don't have to worry about it as much. So why not do something that gives them a way to relax and enjoy themselves, or just kind of play some games? A lot of the gaming generation is at the point now where we're in most of the jobs, our generation, and having them give codes to Sea of Thieves or Rare Replay to any of the workers for NHS it's such a cool thing. Like I didn't realize that this thing was something that has been funded by the public since 1948. That was such a crazy idea that it's been going for 72 years now, I think. So if I'm doing my math right, 72 years they've had the national healthcare system. And that's something that I hope a lot of people are able to kind of benefit from. And I know there's a lot of people that are on both sides of it, but just the fact that Rare's willing to do something like this really speaks to the caliber of people that work at that studio, and Microsoft for working with them to make sure that this is something that can be done as well. And some may look at it and say, oh, well, that's, of course, they're just trying to get people to buy into the Sea of Thieves system, so they'll buy pets and ship liveries and stuff. But at the end of the day, people just want to release from stress and have that stress relief and be able to jump into a game with someone or try something that they haven't. And if you're working a lot of the time, the last thing you want to do is have to think about, I've got all these games that I want to play. What do I want to try? Oh, well, I got this free game from Rare. What a great chance to jump into it and then find the community where we are all pretty much very supportive of others. So I love that they're doing this. I hope that other companies will take an opportunity to kind of cash in on this goodwill and make similar efforts to help support a lot of the people that are out there trying just to help others.
Agreed, 100%. It's just amazing, and so much credit to Rare. And honestly, I've been involved in the gaming scene for decades. I have worked with dev companies before, and there is no one like Rare.
No.
Nobody in this industry. And it is just, they are truly, no pun intended, but a rare thing. Like, it's just amazing how much love they have. And I was talking with John, and it's not even, because most devs, they put up this wall and there's a barrier between them and the players.
Mm-hmm.
But with them, it's a conversation. It's not a monologue. Like, they talk to the players. They talk to the content creators. They hear us. They hear the players. And, I think a lot of people really need just to appreciate them for how giving, and the fact that they're giving Sea of Thieves and Rare Play to anybody. What is it, NHS?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just incredible. Amazing, because Sea of Thieves is one of those games that are bringing people together during this, pandemic and everything. And it's just one of those, they're just amazing.
Yeah.
They're just amazing.
Yeah, shout out to Craig Duncan, who's he listens, and I just want to say, dude, you're amazing. The company that you head is awesome, and I love all of the employees there. It's such a pleasure to be able to fly my flag under the Rare umbrella and be able to say, like, hey, I've been playing games a long time. I've been following a lot of companies, and honestly, there's no better company. And that's not to say that I don't have friends at other companies. I do, and they're great. But as a whole company, for people that I don't know that well, I only know them through Twitter and through streams and stuff like that. Every single one of them, salt of the earth, kindest heart. I haven't run into anyone that's ever been snide or disingenuous to me. So shout out to them.
Absolutely. And it's just gives credit. You could see it. It's all down the line. Like when you start something with the right attitude and the right heart, and when people truly want to make a difference in the world, it shows. And that goes for Rare, that goes for the Sea of Thieves community, that goes for the charity work, everything.
Yep. Very true. But Freyline, we have some interesting news that came as a result of this update. I would say that this is so we got a patch just recently. It was about 4 or 5 gigs, and it made some pretty impactful changes to the way reputation works and the way emissaries work. And I wanted to dive into these with you because I think that someone who streams, you probably see a lot of the game and can kind of speak to how your experiences have been with some of these, hopefully. And I wanted to kind of dive in because some of the changes that came in are some that I think are going to really, really impact what people's expectations currently are for gaining reputation. Like we've already had players reach level 75 in Reaper's Bones. And while this hasn't been the majority of people, there's definitely been some who have been using forts as a way to quickly get up that reputation level. And mix that with the emissary flag, it definitely seems like a lot of gold is being handed around in the game. And it's something that I'm always kind of worried about with the economy of the game, because I don't want new cosmetics to come out too overpriced for newer pirates, but still priced well enough that it's going to take a decent chunk out of the deep pocketed pirates that are on the seas a lot. So how, just to kind of get your feelings on this, how are you liking the emissary system so far? Are you pretty happy with it, or are there some changes you'd like to see or that might have already been implemented?
I absolutely love the emissary system. I think it gives players that have been playing since day one and kind of already reached those milestones of 50-50-50, like something new. And I can't even tell you the excitement that I feel when I see that little thing pop up on the screen and the little bar go around. I get so excited because it feels good to get that.
I missed it.
That leveling again. I missed it, as far as changes, they made the changes necessary. I can tell you from my own experience, I only got to play really Saturdays are my big day to play. I do work full time. I stream part time. And then I do the charity work too. So I basically have 3 jobs. But when I did get to play, I got to play for a good solid chunk with Mo of Vitamin V.
Mm-hmm.
And I made it from level 10 Reapers to level 45 in a day.
Yeah.
We hit Reapers 5 4 to 5 times. I mean, we were straight up sinking people for most of the day, and that is how we did it. I think maybe we did 1 fort. But it was definitely quick. The way that it happened was really quick. I kind of wanted maybe a little more work on my part,
Mm-hmm.
And then they did make that patch and they implemented those changes. And afterwards, I found that the leveling with Emissary it was at a better pace. It was paced in a better way. That first day when I got 45 levels in Reapers, I made over $1 million in a day, 1 million gold.
Yeah. Whereas that's a pretty hard thing to hit pre-patch before Ships of Fortune
100%.
came out. 100 or 1 million gold was not something that you could just easily pick up.
That would take a takeover. That would take a server takeover, and usually you would probably do around 1 million to like 2.5, depending on how long the takeover went. But it would take an entire server working together, not a single ship.
Yep. Yeah. So I wanted to dive into some of the patches, unless there was anything that you wanted to kind of touch on.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so for the folks that didn't read the patch notes, my heart goes out to you. I will do the hard work for you. In this patch, cashing in emissary flags, the gold in Reaper's Bones reputation earned when cashing in emissary flags at the Reaper's hideout has now been rebalanced. Although higher grade emissary flags now award less gold in reputation, lower grade emissary flags award more. So basically what that's saying is if you bring in a level 1 or a level 2, you're going to get more for that than if you were to turn in like a rank 4 or rank 5. The rank 4 and rank 5s have been reduced. Reaper's Bones reputation. While Reaper's chests and Reaper's bounties remain unchanged, the reputation earned when cashing in all other treasure with the Reaper's Bones has now been reduced. And that kind of goes into the aspect of using the Reaper's Bones as the PvP faction. That's where you should be earning most of your rewards in reputation, is through actually fighting, not going out and grabbing a bunch of treasure and then taking it all to the Reaper's Bones. With ending an emissary session, the golden reputation awarded when ending an emissary session via the voting table has now been reduced across all emissary grades and trading companies. So the amount of gold that you were getting beforehand and the reputation that you were getting beforehand, all of that has been just slashed. So expect lower returns for that. Reaper's Bone emissary grade progression. As a Reaper Bone emissary, acquiring loot will be slightly less effective at advancing emissary grade. However, acquiring other crews' emissary flags and defeating other emissaries remain as effective as ever. So again, that goes back to being more of the PvP faction. Athena Fortune emissary grade progression. As an emissary of Athena's Fortune, crews will now be required to perform more actions to advance their emissary grade. I'll get into that in a little bit later. Athena's Fortune emissary quest. The Athena's Fortune emissary quest earned at grade 5 will now require crews to sail for longer distances to earn their legendary reward. So have you flown or done any of the Athena's Fortune emissary stuff yet?
Okay, so funny story. I totally forgot about it. And I definitely got it, but then I just left the server, and then I realized afterwards, and I was like, oh no. And then last night we finished one up, and then just when we were about to go do it, not only did it give us things decently far apart, like it says, but it gave us plunder, and I hate that island. So plunder
can be
we ended up battling a brig that circled us for a bit and then sank themselves. So
that was really, I
never have actually gotten to do it. It's I'd love to, but I don't. It feels a little strange after you're done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I've like forgotten once and not gotten to the second time.
If listeners weren't there, it was actually really funny because you were trying to be good and get off at a reasonable time because you knew you had to be up early.
Oh, last night.
Yeah. And as this brig was sailing up, you guys were kind of circling around, planning on kind of turning in the little bit of loot that you still had left. And they somehow managed to get on fire. And as they were curving around Plunder Outpost, they just sank. And they sank themselves. Yeah, it was the weirdest thing. And there was some speculation, like maybe they had logged off and it was a 15-minute timer. And you had commented about, well, how did they turn around the island? And it's like, well,
yeah, like someone had to have turned around that island because they started on the west side, going around the north end in a clockwise motion. So someone had to have turned them that final turn, but they didn't put the fire out.
Yeah. So I'm thinking it's either one of two things. It's either a ghost ship and we just didn't know it, or the Kraken had its tentacles and it was just kind of like steering it very gently. And as soon as it caught fire,
It was Karen.
yeah, she was just moving the ship around just to kind of toy. It was like
She stalks me.
Yeah.
You saw her today.
Yeah. So I figured it might have been Karen, kind of like a kid with a toy boat in a bathtub, just kind of messing with you guys. But it was a good stream regardless. So
that was fun. Yeah.
I've went and ran a couple emissaries. I went and did it with some friends a while back, shortly after the update. And it was pretty simple. We managed to load into a server with a few ships because we had a lot of us playing that night. And we went and decided to run a couple Athena missions to kind of test things out. So we did one of those Thief Havens Athena run. And once we hit level 5 with the grade, we gathered up all of our treasure and then we went and turned it all in. And we picked up our repeatable quest and lowered our flag. And then once we lowered our flag, we put it back up as a level 1, went and did the bonus emissary quest, and the bonus emissary quest got us back up to level 5. So we took that treasure and we cashed it in at rank 5, picked up another bonus emissary quest because it's repeatable, lowered our flag, got the bonus for lowering our flag, re-raised our flag as a level 1, went and did the emissary quest again and got back up to level 5. And it was...
Now, is this post update?
No.
Post yesterday?
No, this was prior to the update. And that's one of the things that really has pushed a lot of people in Athena from 10 to 20 fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Within the first couple of weeks, I never would have thought that anyone could have gotten rank 20 or level 20 in Athena's that quickly. Yeah. Because when the game first came out, I was, Pirate Legend by July, and I didn't hit Athena 10 until November. And a lot of that was just negligence on my part, but also I got burnt out on running Athena's missions. But ever since the Fort of the Damned and the Thieves' Haven, it's been easier and easier than ever to earn reputation for Athena's Fortune. And add that to the bonus emissary quest and the different pieces that you can get, plus the bonus from the emissary flag. It feels like level 20 Athena doesn't quite have that long-term grind that Athena 10 did. And I wanted to bring this up with you to kind of see how you feel about it, because a lot of folks kind of commented about how, this really doesn't matter. It's a personal thing. It just depends on how people feel about it. And, if they want to grind it, then they can. And why should it matter how fast they hit it? And the one response that I saw that kind of from Golden Sands Outpost, I think they commented really well on this. They said, the longer it takes for people to get max level ensures that people will still be playing the game. And once people hit max level, they usually check out and they go hop on another game like Gears Tactics or something. So I wanted to see do you have like a personal idea of where you kind of expected people to be a couple weeks into the game? Like, were you expecting people to be capped out, or how do you feel about long grinds for reputation?
After the update?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I mean, you're talking to a ex-hardcore WoW player. I mean, I know what grinding levels is,
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I feel I was kind of like, I was a little disappointed that people were already at 20.
Yeah.
I did feel that it should have been, and they did make that change. It's just that a lot of people already hit it.
Yeah.
Using the method that you said, which is fine. But I do feel like it needs to be a little bit of more of a like an achievement to get there.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm taking my time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's looking at the changes that were made. I'm right there with you. We tested it out to see how well that loop worked. And it was a pretty good loop, and I could definitely see why a lot of people were using it. It's one of those things where I definitely feel like it should have been a much longer grind for others, because that's kind of the fun. That's what I loved about World of Warcraft. Anytime there's a new expansion, there's that new level cap, and part of the fun is going out and experiencing that content, see what they've crafted for us, and then actually seeing, you know, the satisfaction that you get when you actually hit it. I remember hitting level 50 with the original trade companies was super tough, and when you hit it, it was such an amazing bit of satisfaction. And that I wonder if maybe I don't see how that would be diminished for anyone coming into the game now, because they had no frame of reference for what it used to be like. But I definitely feel kind of mixed, because I don't wish anyone to have to go out and grind the animals that I had to grind to get to 50 in Merchant Alliance. But at the same time, that built a lot of experience in stories.
Right. I mean, I'm back to the point where no one's allowed to turn mermaid gems into anything but merchant, because I know that I won't go out and get them.
Oh, nice.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
so you've already got it set out.
Yeah, that was, and like merchant was the one where I didn't do merchant. I know people love merchant, but I'm not one of those. I ended up being one of the people that did buy my last level of merchant. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. So I let me get out right ahead of what you did. Totally fine, because back when that first came out, the way to get doubloons was only by doing content. So when you were taking time away from doing grinding for levels and stuff like that, and you were actually experiencing like build rad updates and stuff, there's a reward, a risk and a reward with that. Like, you were earning doubloons in lieu of getting reputation. So it only makes sense that you have the opportunity to buy back some of that time using doubloons instead of grinding out animals. So as far as I'm concerned,
you're making me feel really good. Thank you.
No, that's totally my rationalization for it, because it's true. Like,
I love it.
You wanted to play the game. They were putting out content for you. You should have had every right to feel like you could, without feeling penalized by taking time away from grinding out Merchant Alliance. So the reward for that was doubloons, and you could either buy doubloons and cosmetics if you wanted to, and you could have that stuff for later on, or you could put it towards a level. And if you wanted to do it for a level, then that was just recouping the time that you spent doing an event to help support the game and help bring content to the community. And instead of spending, one stream grinding out gold skeleton or gold chickens, you went out and shot yourself up to do skeleton thrones, or got killed multiple times by gunpowder skeletons. Like, it's so interesting how some people have this kind of preconceived notion that buying levels is taking away from the value that you have, because you still have to earn that currency. You can't just magic it like ancient coins. You can't pay for that currency.
Right. It's not something for nothing.
Yeah.
Back then when I did hit it, when was it? When did I hit Pirate Legend? Oh, yeah. It had to be around November 2018, I want to say. Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Yeah.
Right after TwitchCon.
Oh, okay.
Because it was Captain Ash who helped me get there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I'm kind of like, I don't know. Like, so far, as far as emissaries, I've only done Reapers and I've only done Athenas. Like, I haven't even touched the other ones.
Yeah.
So I don't even know the dynamic on like a merchant emissary.
Yeah.
But I'm sure people who like them, right?
They do. And that's actually what I've loved about the emissaries, is that having new levels to grind out and having a new emissary system and having costumes tied into that with new levels and new ship liveries, you really start to see a lean to people who like to go for certain ones. I've got a buddy who's already 65 at least in Merchant Alliance, and he does that on the side when he has time to go solo merchant crates or cargo runs. And that's because when we hop on with our normal crew, we usually go out as Reapers, because we've got a bigger crew. We can sustain ship better. We can fight better. We have more backup and stuff. So he's looking to doing what he can on his own, and merchants is a quick way to grab a couple crates, toss them in the ship, go deliver them, and then work on his emissaries that way. Whereas Thor von Blitz is a huge fan of Merchant Alliance in general, so he's loving the fact that he can lean into that lore and that role play. So having the emissaries has been great to see, like, where people lie. Like, we're going to get back to that point where people either had gold hoarder liveries, or they had the rogue sea dog set, or they had the admiral set for their ship liveries, because they cost so much and gold was so hard to get that you really had to make that choice on what kind of cosmetic you wanted to put on your ship. And you had to discuss it with your crew, because you had to decide like what missions you were going to go run. So seeing an admiral out there on the seas shortly after launch who have, done nothing but chickens and snakes and pigs was crazy. You thought that they were mad for trying to want to go do that.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I it's funny because I know Thor loves Merchant, and it's like I'm one of those people that like I can't do it. I just can't. But it's an interesting point that you made, how even the different play styles. Let's say you have a couple hours and or your friends aren't around, so you're playing solo. Like, does that change what emissary you may run on? How maybe one emissary may lean towards like a different scenario or a different group of people that you play with, or different time that you're playing. That's really, really interesting, because you know what, maybe I will try it out when I'm solo. Maybe I'll dedicate a stream to it.
Yeah,
that sort of thing. And I love that they're giving us this opportunity. I think it's they hit this one out of the park in general, I believe.
Yeah, they really did. This whole update has been a really, like, I know last year they really kind of put a capstone on the whole game and said, hey, this is a fresh new coat of paint. This is the anniversary edition. You're going to get this, you're going to get that. And a whole new world is kind of opened up, and you're going to get to fly around on a magic carpet and find out what true love is. This has felt like it's just kind of one-upped the game. Like, we had all the tall tales. The tall tales have been coming steadily throughout the year. Now we get to kind of relive the joys of grinding out levels and going out and treasure matters and stuff like that. And I absolutely love it. It's such a good update for this. We have some comments that I wanted to dive into about all this that come from other than us, though. So on the Sea of Thieves forums, Mike Chapman wrote a very nice blog post, kind of discussing the thoughts behind why Rare decided to do some of these changes. And I wanted to kind of read some of these out verbatim, so that while anecdotally, our conversation about this has been good, I wanted to have kind of word from the actual studio, kind of why they decided to make these changes, because a lot of people may be upset about these because it may slow the pace of their leveling, and they may not like that. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit harder, especially if you're so close to capping out. But Mike Chapman comes in and says they're implementing these following changes to the game for these reasons. Standard loot items will now be worth a quarter of their original reputation value to the Reaper's Bones, but the gold remains unchanged. So if you were upset that you weren't going to be earning as much through regular loot through Reaper's Bones, the gold is still going to be fine. It's just the reputation that's getting changed. Athena's loot has been reduced to half their reputation value to the Reaper's Bones, ensuring that legendary steals are still perceived as more valuable, which really means a lot, considering after a certain point, not many people are going to be running those compared to the other ones. And again, with that, the gold remains unchanged. In fact, I think with the majority of these changes, all of them tie directly to the reputation earned as opposed to the actual gold value. So you'll still get the money for it. You just it'll take a little bit longer. So like Ashen Tombs, Ashen Keys, if you didn't know you could turn those in to the Reaper's Bones, those reputations are going to be reduced by half. The gifts and ragbone crates also have been reduced by half, and the Reapers, chests, the box of wondrous secrets, and the gold hoarder skull still keep as the most valuable item or loot items to the Reaper's bones. So, you may have been doing the Fort of the Damned to get reputation quickly. You can go do Shores of Gold and bring the gold hoarder skull to Reaper's bones and turn it in, which is a crazy lore concept in my head based on.
Oh my God.
Can
we do that?
Yeah. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know you could turn in a box of wondrous secrets to Reaper's bones.
You and I should sail and we need to see a science this. I'm sorry.
That sounds like fun. I would love to be able to find one of those guys and then see what we get for it, how much reputation you earn, because we're about the same level actually. Lower level emissary flags are worth more reputation and gold compared to their original value, something I mentioned before, while the grade 4 and grade 5 flags have been reduced. As while we still want these to be the most rewarding, they were excessively high given how we were seeing players play at that scale. And this kind of ties into the idea of it being easier to get to grade 5. They've tried to reduce that so it's harder to get to grade 5. So you're not going to see as many grade 5s out there on the seas. And in response, they've tried to boost up the lower level flags to kind of make sure that, if you see a low level flag, they're still going to be worth getting compared to a higher level flag where you shouldn't ignore the grade 1s or the grade 2s. The grade progression for Reaper's Bones will now take longer if you're relying on loot items, roughly 25% more, which isn't that bad, honestly, to get to grade 5. And unlock the special ability to reveal the emissaries on the ship map, something I still think is amazing. The idea of this is mostly just that they're trying to get people to actually go out and fight others. I think one of my friends in the Discord, he said how they went out to the Fort of the Damned who had Reaper grade 5 up, 2 brigs. They sank the brigs, left the flags because they were sick of seeing the people grinding out Fort of the Damned. So they just wanted to ruin their bonus reputation for that, and kind of force them into PvP. And it's one of those things where Craig was on last week, and he said that he's less PvP, more PvE, and while it may take a little bit longer, it still tries to retain some of that kind of innate nature of the Reaper's Bones. They're designed to be that kind of PvP faction, and the whole goal of it is to try and build better pirates, try and build pirates who are capable of handling themselves. And if you're going out and flying Reaper's Bones without fear of being attacked, or going out and actively attacking, it kind of, at least for me, it goes against what my idea of what Reaper's Bones should be about, which is training pirates to be better at fighting.
Right, I agree 100%. Because, okay, I'm never going to act like I'm good at PvP because I'm mediocre at best. But I have, since the emissary came out, I have tucked my first. I had stolen my first Athenas.
Nice. There's
been so many firsts, and don't get me wrong, I'm not like a pushover. I will fight and I will probably kill you.
Yeah.
I'm just more of a ship mom. That's my thing. But it's been opening up a lot more of the game to me. And I know a lot of others have said that too. If you check in with Craig again, he was just tweeting out the other day, wow, this is I'm attacking ships for the first time ever. Yeah. It's just, it's definitely, and you won't get better at PvP unless you do it.
Yep.
And that's fact. So this is definitely bringing a lot of people out of their shells. And I think maybe the people who are dominating PvP may be quite surprised by the skill that all the non-PvPers are now learning. And they might find it a little bit less easy to just pick on people. So I think it'll bring a lot of more roundness. Is that the correct word?
Yeah.
To the game.
Yeah. It makes it a little, that equilibrium between people who don't usually PvP and the people who always PvP a little bit closer. There's going to be a smaller gap in them. I'm looking forward to that.
Exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah. I think it's a great way to kind of make sure, because I think that's one of the biggest gripes with people that like to PvP more is that there aren't good fights on the seas. And a lot of that's because there's such that disparity. And I think Reaper's Bones gives a lore-based kind of authorized way or reason to go out and actually fight. So having a reason or having a goal in mind to do that kind of takes you out of that mindset where it's like, okay, well, if I get into a fight, here are the things that I can do to get out of it or get my treasure. Whereas this is like, go out, get other people's treasure, get other people's flags because it's sanctioned. And that's just something that I think across the board has done wonders for the game and for other players. And I'm really happy to hear more people getting into fights on purpose as opposed to dealing with fights that they didn't hope for.
I've even been picking fights when I'm solo, just for practice, to see if I can. Hey, I sank a galleon solo the other day, 4 players. I was proud.
Nice.
Sure, I kamikazed into them and my ship sank too, but it didn't matter because I killed them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
all about learning, and I think that that's what's amazing. Like, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I wish I can go back kind of and see and log in on a day 1 Sea of Thieves and then kind of log in now. Like, would you think similarly? Like, maybe that's not the right question. I'm not good at these questions, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just come so far. Like, it's incredible because I know you were like a launch player as well.
Yeah, I would love to. If I could erase my memory and go and start the game now and kind of pick it up and see like how it plays, how it feels and stuff like that. I've actually had folks, Neon Velocity. He's a friend of a friend from another Discord, which is kind of a weird way to put it, but he rated me as a result of a friend on Twitch and has been a big Gears player, but he was out playing Sea of Thieves the other day, and I wasn't streaming and I wasn't playing. I was just kind of watching Twitch for once, and watching him play through the Shroud Breaker was really interesting because he didn't it's not intuitive just how to actually go about reading the quests or reading the books and kind of understanding like what was next. And this is someone who still trying to get their sea legs with what the ship is, how the ship works, how to sail around, stuff like that. He had played at launch very lightly and then left it till now. And getting onto basically what I wanted to do is I got onto a ship and I tried to take care of the ship and make sure that we didn't sink from anyone while acting as kind of like a in-game rarethief.com for him, so that if he felt like he was getting straying a little too far from where he needed to be, or if there was something that it just wasn't clicking, that I could kind of offer that little nudge. And his overall sentiment with the game is that it was really beautiful. It was a lot to take in, and that it was still an interesting game. And I kind of wonder if I hadn't been playing from day one, if maybe the game would be a little too much for me at this point. Like maybe it would be a little too much going on.
I don't think so.
Well, thank you for saying you're
because here's the thing, and I'm sorry for interjecting, but the beauty about Sea of Thieves is you can literally do anything. So like, well, yes, maybe a day 1 person goes in solo on a galley and sails around not knowing what's going on. But now there's the maiden voyage, which kind of gives them a little rundown on it now, which I think is great. And then also when you do get into the actual game, there are tutorials when you first start to do things. Also, I think adding the tall tales onto the map as well have kind of given more of a guide without containing the player. I think the fact that there is so much and that the player is completely free, there's no main quest line. You can choose to do whatever side quest you want. There's no planned path of progression.
Yeah.
There is in the Tall Tale, but I think that's what makes it different, is the fact that well, yeah, it may seem kind of overwhelming. That beginning player can go and fish for 2-3 hours if they want to, and like start off with their experience that way. They kind of are able to find what experience is the adventure in the game that they like best.
Yeah. Yeah, and I totally agree. I know that a lot of people, if I could ever have a recommendation for folks that are interested in playing the game, the best thing I can recommend is get in with a friend or someone who has been playing, either through Discord or Twitter or Xbox clubs or party invites, things like that. Jump into a random crew where there's less pressure to optimally perform, and just play around and get used to stuff. Everyone kind of expects an open crew that it's going to be kind of cats running around running the ship, and there's not really going to be a whole lot of direction. So you bring up a good point, because I forget about these too. The tutorials on screen definitely help, even if you're not used to seeing them. I would love to see more people who haven't visited the game in a certain time span, who have played the game, like say at launch, and then they left for whatever reason and are coming back. They aren't automatically kicked into that maiden program or maiden voyage setting. They are dropped into the main game. And I think if there's a large enough gap, that there should be some sort of pop-up that says, hey, things have changed. Would you like to jump into the main voyage and kind of get used to the game again? And then if you can decline it if you feel like you're good, or you jump in with someone else, but at least give someone who hasn't played in the last.
I want to be able to do the maiden voyage with a friend.
Yeah, me too. I would love to.
That's my biggest thing. Because I wanted to do it with my one of my mods. I wanted to do the maiden voyage with them. And then we both tried to get in, and I was like, oh no, it's solo.
Yeah.
Because like you said, encouraging someone, and it is a responsibility of the players who have been in the game a little bit to kind of take the newer players under their wing. Some do it with the edge of their sword or Blundy, but it'd be cool if we could do like a duo, maiden voyage, and have like maybe a friend in there with you. But I also understand, the kind of solo exploration that is kind of required when you're just getting into a game as well, not wanting to have someone overwhelming you with, look at this, you could do this, you could do this, that sort of thing.
The maiden voyage is perfect for that too. That's one of the things that I think I love the most about maiden voyage, was just having the time and knowing that I wasn't going to be attacked by anyone, that I could just kind of wander that island, looking around, observing, kind of understanding how things interact. It teaches you a lot about like pulley systems and rowboats and fishing and equipment that you may not kind of naturally come across until later on in your normal voyages, and seeing the main voyage offer these up to people through a natural kind of revealing as you kind of run around that island and kind of discover stuff. I want to play it again now that I keep talking about it. I really want to jump in there.
Same. I have literally dedicated entire streams to exploring that island.
Yeah.
No joke.
It's
because there's so many cool things.
I really love it. It's definitely, and the fact that there's gold hidden there. The hidden gold room,
and it gives you a nice little wait, well, we don't want to spoilers.
There's gold. That's all people need to know. There's a reason to go in there. You do get cosmetics, I think. Do you? Yeah, I think you do. Isn't there cosmetics tied to that tall tale?
He
can't remember.
He gives you like your gun and all the beginning sailor stuff.
Yeah, but was it the Pirate Lord's jacket that you get when you do everything? Oh man, I'm blanking. I can't believe
I'm not the person. Sorry.
No. I think there is. Folks, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty certain that there's a cosmetic tied into when you complete all the commendations for the tall tale on that. But yeah, it's such a great. I don't even remember how we got on this conversation. How did we get on that?
We were just talking about how much we love the game. Well, we were talking about what Mike was saying about.
Oh yeah, that's right. But yeah, that's for the most part, that's the patch notes in why they did it. It's all pretty straightforward, and I think a lot of people kind of understand where Rare's coming from it, especially after seeing a lot of the social reveals of people hitting max level shortly after launch who aren't Prodigy X or Sniper Name G. So I think the main thing that has kind of come in as a result of this update is they did fix a few of the searching the seas issues that people were running into, and kind of tried to increase the overall stability with the servers for PC players as well. It was getting kind of janky there for a second. Was there anything that you wanted to touch on that you can think of off the top of your head?
Just that I'm really honored to have been asked on this. I mean, I with the you're talking about with the emissaries, or
anything in general. If there's something you want to dive into that's been bugging you about Sea of Thieves that you're like, I've got the ear of the devs for once.
Black dog dress. That's literally all they want.
Rare, come on. It's one thing.
And kilts. People have been asking for kilts for ages.
Yes.
But notice everything I'm asking is cosmetic. Honestly, I'm one of those people that I never really get mad or like, oh, I want this, do this now, as far as dev changes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they really do listen to what the community is doing, and then they take what's good and what changes actually are feasible, and then they apply it. I'm like they're amazing to me. And the changes that they made to Emissary were 100% needed. You could tell the difference between the days of playing.
Yeah.
And, it took finishing a full Thieves Haven run in order to get level 5. And that was with extra things found.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be. And I think that, the fact that they're generating more desire for PvP is wonderful. Everything that we've said, really. I will always support the devs, and it's not like I'm fangirling or anything. It's like when you have parents and like they do things and to take care of you, you know what I mean? But you may not always know why or understand why. And it's like, I just appreciate how Rare it will always do what's best for the community at heart. And I really do believe that. And it was just like everything with this new update. It brought a new like kind of love, and you could tell that they put care into it. That's what I'm trying to say. You could tell that there was care put into it and thought about how it would change our play dynamics. And I think it's wonderful, especially for even new people and old people from launch and people who are just picking up the game now.
Yeah. Well, I'm totally fangirling about this game as usual, but I don't have to tell that to anyone that's listening to this. You should already know.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna do it. Netflix says that it thinks I will probably enjoy the movie Mortal Kombat. They're 100% right, and I'm tempted to go watch that after I do Maiden's Voyage.
Ooh.
So Freyline, I think that's gonna do it for the show. I wanted to thank you for joining me. I know that you've been up a while and that you haven't had a whole lot of food today, so I wanted to make sure I get you out of here under an hour and a half and let you get back to your day, because I know you wanted to stream later tonight. And where can people find you on stream?
That would be twitch.tv/Freyline. You could also find me on Twitter. It's just Freyline _ and Instagram, but primarily Twitch. And I stream Wednesday through Saturday, usually like 8 p.m. to whenever. I try to go to bed early, but and then Saturdays I try to do like an all day type thing. And thank you so much. I'm so honored to have been asked to come on the show. I mean,
my pleasure.
I'm a huge fan, and
thank you.
Just to be able to share how much I love Sea of Thieves, how much I love the community, how much I love how giving the community is to charity, and how amazing of an opportunity it's been to be able to really bring the community together with these charity events. And we actually are going to be doing another huge takeover at the end of the month for St. Jude. There's going to be another really cool riddle type event on the 16th. And then again on the 30th and 31st, we're doing a huge takeover, and the signups for that are going to be put out on Twitter and all on the Hearts of Gold Discord. So we're opening it up to everybody. If you feel like you want to make a difference and you want to help raise money for St. Jude, doesn't matter if you're a broadcaster, doesn't matter if you're large, small, whatever, anybody can help. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'm going to have links to all of that in the show notes. So if you were listening to this and you thought, man, I want to visit that on break or when I get home from driving, I'm going to have her links in the show notes so that you can click over there. Make sure to follow, like, subscribe, smash that something or other, and do the thing with the bell, because that's
Ship's bell.
Yeah, all those things that I don't know anything about because I'm a bad streamer, but I'm an excellent podcaster. And Pirates, that's going to do it for this episode. As always, I'm going to have a little bit of a closing note just to kind of make sure that you guys get the I's and T's crossed and dotted. And I will see you all on the other side. Freyline, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Pirates, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for joining me. And thanks again to Freyline for joining me on this episode to talk about charities, to talk about cosmetics, all these things that we are kind of getting in touch with and exploring in Sea of Thieves. As always, I look for your feedback on this. I really enjoy reading it. And thank you again to the folks that have sent stories. Dread Pirate Doug and I are making some progress on our secret project, and we have kind of hammered out the outline of what we want to do with it, and it's going to be fun. So I do want to keep getting those stories in from you so we can have those for the special project. You can always send those to me at captlogun@gmail.com. You can always DM me them on Twitter at capt_logun. You can always join the Discord. The show notes have the link to the Discord. You can always join the Discord, get familiar with some of the other pirates that have their stories in there as well, and just sail around with other people. We've been talking about a lot of other games coming out. Obviously, I've got the script made up for a shore leave episode that I'm going to be recording fairly shortly, hopefully to come out this week. And I'm trying to think. There's a new set of t-shirts that are going to be coming out in the near future, depending on whether or not I can get the okay from that. I have commissioned one of the artists that you guys should be familiar. If you're on Twitter or Reddit, you might have seen his work, and I'm commissioning him to do something that is kind of an inside joke for the podcast. And if you want to know more, Mina Ferry is the one on Discord. She knows about it, and will probably spill the beans if you ask her. So keep that in mind. Pirates, that's going to do it for this episode. As always, anything you can do to share the podcast or to bump it up with ratings, likes, subscribes, all that stuff, that will always help kind of get the word out to more pirates. So if you want to stay up to date with the news, if you want to hear from more community members, hear your stories, hear your thoughts told back to me, kind of like I did with the poll on Twitter, I would love that. I would really appreciate it. And as always, it means a lot to me to know that you guys care about the podcast getting out there to other people, because it helps keep the community thriving. It helps keeping people up to date on what's going on as much as possible. And I think that's going to do it. Thank you again, Pirates. I love you, and I look forward to sailing with you on the Sea of Thieves.